Hey YouTube, this is a follow-up video. A little while back I did one on the Kioti CS 2210 and the SL 2410 bucket removal and reinstallation. This is just kind of a follow-up to talk about one of the problems I had, and then a couple of other things with this tractor that I wasn't entirely thrilled about, but none of them were deal breakers. The first is the single leg support design on this, which I think is a 2017 model year. The newer ones have a double leg support model for when the bucket is being removed, but this one still had the metal stand that is held on with 2 pins and cotter pins when not in use, and then attached vertically on these 2 pins right here when you are using it to take the bucket off and let it stand by itself. The problem is the welds on the stand itself were not strong enough to support the weight on a regular basis, and I saw this beginning to bend, and it then changed the geometry of the stand, which meant it was almost impossible to get the bucket on and off. I took it to a welder. He bent it back to the original angle, and then he added a couple of supports that he welded on as well to give it a little more beefiness, and that has helped quite a bit. So if you've had that problem, that's a pretty good solution. One of the other things that's kind of weird is that when you are trying to install this thing vertically to take the bucket off, it does warp those cotter pins quite a bit to get them on and off of the bottom pin. So I don't need a whole video to show you that, I don't think. Another thing that I'm not entirely thrilled about is the fact that, and this is pretty common I guess, I have broken 4 of these keys off because they basically are right there in front of your right knee. And so about 4 times I've either climbed on or off the tractor, and you don't have to hit it very hard and it'll just snap that key right off, and it snaps it pretty flush with the ignition. So you do have to get creative with some needle nose pliers and maybe a little metal pick or something to pull the broken piece of the key out. The upside is you can buy about 10 of those keys for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon. And then you can just replace them when that happens. But what it's taught me to do is just be more careful. So it's been a couple months since I've broken one. The other thing that's just kind of a bummer is 115 hours on this tractor, and the 2 points on the loader arms where the bucket actually rests when the bucket is in float position, it pretty much just grinds the paint right off of there. Maybe that's just expected, and I'll touch it up. It certainly hasn't hurt it structurally, but even if I touch it up, it's just going to do it again. So it seems like it'd be kind of cool if there was any kind of a bump stop in there. Maybe there is on the newer ones. I'm getting it on both sides. On the when you're sitting on the tractor looking over the hood, the left side isn't quite as bad. The right side's a little more worn. But otherwise, I haven't had any problems with the tractor or the bucket or the SM 2410 mowing deck. The mowing deck's a little bit of a pain to get on and off because you have to slide it out from the side. But first you have to turn all 4 of the anti-scalp wheels 90 degrees so that it will slide out horizontally. But otherwise, everything's been going great after 115 hours. This year I did just the oil and oil filter change. Last year I did the oil filter, the HST filter, and the hydraulic filter. I didn't do a video on that, but changing those 2 filters underneath, the HST and the hydraulic filter, was an enormous mess. First of all, they were painted on from the factory, so it took a lot of elbow grease to get them off, and then I lost a fair amount of hydraulic fluid when I was doing it because I wasn't quick enough to get the new filter back on there. So anyway, next time I do that, I'll be a little more educated. The only other thing I've run into that was a little funky is a couple of times I've gotten these hoses a little bit out of order when I was putting it back on. The top 2 are very similar in length. If you reverse them and everything still works, the handle just doesn't do what you think it's going to do. So I just numbered mine top down 1, 2, 3, 4 with a gold marker, like a Sharpie paint marker, because the little colored tags that were on there from the factory came off pretty darn quickly. So those were pretty useless. So that's it. Love my Kioti CS 2210. Sure wouldn't break my heart to have one of the brand new ones with the updated loader kickstands, but no complaints. Take care, guys.